Okie dokie. Today we're going to learn about the Book of the Dead, often known as the Bible of Ancient Egypt or the Book of Coming Forth by Day. This is an ancient text, which is a collection of spells, prayers, and rituals designed to guide the deceased through the dangerous journey of the afterlife. So we're going to get into its origins, evolution over the centuries, and its role in helping souls achieve eternal life. All right, let's get into this. When British archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered a tomb in 1922, it wasn't just any tomb. Inside the tomb, Carter and his team discovered a wealth of artifacts and texts that illustrated how crucial the afterlife was to ancient Egyptians. It was Tutankhamun's tomb. It was filled with detailed scenes depicted on the walls of his burial chamber. These scenes portrayed the pharaoh's journey through the Duat, the perilous underworld, guided by the spells and incantations from the Book of the Dead. This provided a first-hand look at how these texts were used and practiced. Among the many treasures found were shabti figures, which are small statuettes intended to serve the pharaoh in the afterlife. They were performing various tasks on his behalf. These figures align with the spells in the Book of the Dead, which often mentions such assistance to ease the deceased's path. Contrary to what its name might suggest, the Book of the Dead is not actually a single unified book. It is a collection of texts that developed and grew over centuries. The origins of this compilation date back to the Egyptian Old Kingdom around 2400 BCE. Initially, these sacred texts were accessible only to the pharaohs and the high-ranking nobles. They were inscribed on the walls of pyramids and tombs, reserved solely for aiding the elite in their journey through the afterlife. But as time went on, the accessibility of these sacred writings expanded significantly, particularly by the time of the Middle Kingdom. People from different walks of life began to adopt the spells and prayers once reserved only for royalty. This shift signifies a crucial change in ancient Egyptian society, where the concept of the afterlife was democratized, giving more people the opportunity to secure their place in the afterlife, not just the privileged few. The Book of the Dead really came into its own during the New Kingdom period, which spanned approximately 1550 to 1070 BCE. By this era, it had become a widely recognized and used compilation. The texts were no longer just etched into tomb walls, but also written on papyrus scrolls, and contained a complex series of spells meant to help the deceased tackle the many challenges of the Duat. The imagery and language in these spells were rich, providing step-by-step guidelines to help the soul navigate past gatekeepers, evade perilous creatures, and reach the ultimate judgment before Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This evolution also included a variety of personal elements. Each version of the Book of the Dead was often tailored to the individual, complete with their name and certain spells chosen to suit their specific needs and social status. It wasn't just a religious text, it was an immensely personal guidebook for the deceased. And over the years, these manuscripts adapted to cultural shifts and changes in religious beliefs, reflecting a living tradition that resonated deeply within the Egyptian people's quest for immortality. So the Book of the Dead serves as a historical document that offers an in-depth look at how ancient Egyptian society evolved over time, from an exclusive set of inscriptions for the pharaohs to a widely used manual accessible to commoners. It mirrors the shifts in societal structure and religious beliefs of one of history's most intriguing civilizations. In the heart of ancient Egyptian beliefs, the journey through the Duat, the Underworld, was one of the more perilous and significant adventures a soul could undertake. This journey was meticulously detailed in the Book of the Dead, which serves as both a guidebook and a source of comfort for those entering the afterlife. Imagine the Duat as a mysterious labyrinth filled with dangerous creatures, treacherous paths, and numerous gates that one needed to pass through. Each gate was guarded by formidable beings who posed riddles or required spells to allow passage. The goal was to navigate these challenges successfully to reach the Hall of Osiris, where the most crucial test awaited. One of the most iconic scenes from the Book of the Dead is the weighing of the heart ceremony. Here, the deceased would stand before Osiris, the god of the afterlife, in a panel of 42 judges. The heart of the deceased, believed to be the seat of emotions and intellect, was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. This feather symbolized balance and fairness. If the heart was lighter or equal to the feather, it indicated a life well lived, and the soul was granted access to eternal life in the field of reeds, their heavenly paradise. If the heart was heavier due to sins or moral failures, it was devoured by Amit, a terrifying creature that was part lion, part hippopotamus, and part crocodile. This act condemned the soul to eternal restlessness, a fate feared by all ancient Egyptians. To aid in these trials, the Book of the Dead contained specific spells that the deceased could use. There were spells for opening gates, transforming into animals to evade danger, and invoking protective deities, like Spell 125, which is also known as the negative confession or declaration of innocence. It was to be recited by the deceased to affirm their purity and righteousness, reciting a list of sins they had not committed. Also, the text provided practical advice for negotiating the various perils of the Duat, from instructions on how to avoid deadly serpents and hostile spirits, to guidelines for calling upon the aid of benevolent gods. The Book of the Dead was a comprehensive manual for the afterlife. It ensured that, equipped with the right knowledge and divine favor, the deceased could overcome the most daunting challenges. The journey through the Duat, as daunting as it was, encapsulated the core of ancient Egyptian spirituality. It underscored their belief in a moral order. Divine justice, and the possibility of eternal life, provided one lived in harmony with Ma'at. Through the spells and wisdom of the Book of the Dead, the ancient Egyptians found hope and assurance that they could triumph over death and achieve everlasting peace. The Book of the Dead is filled with spells specifically designed to protect the deceased's soul and body during their journey through the afterlife. One of the most iconic protective items was the scarab amulet. This small artifact, often made of stone or precious materials, was placed over the heart of the deceased. It was believed to prevent the heart from betraying the soul during the judgment process before Osiris. Another important protective measure involved the use of various spells to ward off evil spirits and dangerous creatures. These spells acted like a magical armor, shielding the deceased from any harm they might encounter in the Duat. For example, there was a spell that transformed the deceased into a powerful falcon, allowing them to soar over potential threats. Amulets weren't the only artifacts used for protection. The Egyptians also included specific spells on Shabti figures, which were the small statuettes that I explained or talked about earlier. These figures were believed to come to life and perform any manual labor required in the afterlife, ensuring the soul could rest peacefully. Beyond physical protection, there were spells aimed at preserving the body itself. Spell number 72, known as the Chapter of Not Letting the Corpse Decay, was recited to keep the body from decomposing. Preservation of the body was crucial, as the Egyptians believed it was necessary for the soul's survival in the afterlife. Scarab amulets, Shabti figures, and protective spells all worked together to create a comprehensive defense system for the deceased. They were essential elements in the Book of the Dead, helping to ensure that the soul could safely navigate the afterlife and achieve eternal peace. Through these practices, the ancient Egyptians demonstrated their profound belief in the afterlife and the importance of preparation and protection for their journey beyond death. Modern scholars have spent countless hours deciphering the mysterious textbooks of the Book of the Dead, shedding light on ancient Egyptian religion, culture, and society. Each spell, with its vivid imagery and poetic language, has helped us understand the deep belief in an afterlife that permeated this ancient civilization. One of the more interesting things is how each copy of the Book of the Dead was customized for the individual it was meant to accompany. Unlike modern books, there was no one-size-fits-all version. Instead, the texts were tailored to the needs and status of the deceased. Specific spells were chosen based on what that individual might need to safely navigate the afterlife. The deceased's name was often inserted throughout the text, making the spells more personal and powerful. If a person held a particular occupation or had specific social standing, spells might be added to reflect their unique journey. This not only highlights the personalized nature of the text, but also underscores the highly individualized belief system of the ancient Egyptians. In addition to the spells, artifacts like Shabti figures played a significant role in the afterlife beliefs. These small statuettes were thought to come to life in the afterlife and carry out tasks on behalf of the deceased, which meant that the deceased could enjoy their afterlife without the burden of manual work, making these figures incredibly significant. Modern technology has also contributed to a deeper understanding of these ancient texts. High-resolution imaging, 3D scanning, and other advanced techniques allow scholars to examine papyrus scrolls and tomb inscriptions without damaging them. Additionally, Digital tools have enabled the compilation of vast databases of spells and artifacts, allowing researchers to identify patterns and connections that might have otherwise been missed. These efforts have not only provided profound insights into ancient Egyptian religion, but have also affirmed the importance of the Book of the Dead in understanding a society that placed immense significance on ensuring a successful journey to the afterlife. In the Book of the Dead, there are several deities who play vital roles in guiding and protecting the deceased on their journey through the afterlife. First, there's Osiris, the most important of all. Osiris was the ruler of the afterlife and symbol of rebirth and eternal life. In the underworld, he presided over the judgment of the dead and the weighing of the heart ceremony. The Egyptians believed that Osiris had power to grant the deceased eternal life if they were found worthy. Next, we have Anubis, the jackal-headed god. Anubis was responsible for embalming and protecting the bodies of the dead. His primary duty was to guide souls through the underworld, ensuring their protection on the perilous journey. Anubis is often depicted overseeing the mummification process and leading the deceased to the Hall of Truth where their hearts would be weighed. And then there's Thoth, who plays an essential role in recording the outcomes of the weighing of the heart. As a scribe of the gods, Thoth was believed to document whether the deceased's heart was lighter than the feather of Ma'at. If the scales tipped favorably, Thoth's records would ensure the deceased's passage to a blessed afterlife. These were just a few of the many gods and goddesses who appear in the pages of the Book of the Dead. Each deity had a unique role, reflecting a deeply intertwined relationship between the divine and the mortal world in ancient Egyptian belief. The text invokes these gods not just for their own acts, but for the protection, wisdom, and judgment they brought to the journey through the afterlife. The Book of the Dead was incredibly practical for the ancient Egyptians. Like a guidebook for the afterlife, one of the key aspects of this text was its specific spells designed to address various dangers that the deceased might encounter in the Duat. Even though we've already talked about Spell 72, the chapter of not letting the corpse decay, there's another spell, Spell 30B, which is often inscribed on a heart-shaped amulet called the heart scarab. This amulet was placed over the heart of the deceased and was designed to prevent the heart from testifying against the soul. Overall, the practical aspects of the Book of the Dead offered the deceased a comprehensive toolkit for navigating the afterlife. Through meticulously designed spells and powerful artifacts, the Egyptians ensured that their loved ones were well prepared for the challenges they believed lay ahead. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening. If you like it, hit that subscribe button for us. If you don't like it, that's okay too. Other than that, have a great day.